Thank you so much. First of all, were you just talking about me? Because I don't even recognize the person you were talking about. But thank you, and I'm honored to be here today. I want to just start. I'm not even going to mess around with a bunch of small talk. We're just going to cut right to the quick, because we don't have a lot of time. We got to make things happen. And I was struck by something that Chef Kinsella said 20 minutes ago. And that was that as a young man, a boy of 14, his first job in a kitchen, he was nervous. He had trembling knees. And that was one of the most beautiful and profound things that I've heard in a long time, because I'm still nervous and I still have trembling knees as I walk through the back door of my restaurant every single day. And I'm nervous, and I've got nervous butterflies and nervous energy in my stomach. And I own the joint. So if anybody should feel free not to be nervous, it's the person that's running the show. But I think that when one is nervous about something, it means that one cares. And all too often, one gets involved with an activity, and it's a love of their life. It could be the culinary arts, it could be gastronomy, it could be service, it could be hospitality, it could be the beverage side of what we do. And some people, after a while, maybe put it onto autopilot. Number one rule, never put it on autopilot. Always stay nervous, always stay hungry. I know we talk a lot about mentoring people, bringing people up, motivating people, how to get people to the next level. The greatest thing that we can do, and this is based on observations of running Charlie Trotter's restaurant for the past 21 years and being in this field for the last 25 years. By the way, I never say restaurant industry. I never say food industry. I never say service industry. I never put those things together. I love the word industry because it implies industriousness and a diligence and a work ethic. But I think the world that we're in is too special. That is, serving people food and taking care of them with from the heart service and doing special things that no one could ever possibly pay you enough or even dream of asking you to do because you're willing to do it from the goodness of your heart. So I always say, I'm grateful, I'm blessed to be part of the world of food and wine, part of the world of hospitality, part of the world of gastronomy. But I'm not part of any sort of restaurant industry or food industry. It's important that we separate those things. But I do want to bring up that in these 25 years of being in this wonderful field, this wonderful line of work that I'm in, it's not even work. I feel embarrassed that I get to do something every day that I would do anyway. I've noticed that one of the great things any of us can do, because I think everyone in this room aspires to being a leader, is that we can create fellow leaders. We can motivate people to lead themselves. It's the greatest gift that any of us can give to anyone. It's the gift that we can give to a sous chef. It's the gift that we can give to an apprentice. It's the gift that we can give to a dining room leader. Not a dining room manager. Just like we don't have the food industry, we don't have managers. We have to erase all this. We have leaders in every regard. Dining room leader, wine team leader, culinary leader. But when you can endow a young person, or a person of any age, with the idea that ultimately, for the greatest element of fulfillment, for the greatest feeling of success, you must be your own toughest leader. You must be your own person that will push you forward, motivate you. You'll be the one that ultimately teaches yourself. It's interesting to me that the people I've seen that come up to me after 10 years of working under my guidance, and they say, well, what can you teach me now, chef? I have to actually advise them to move on from the restaurant, because at some point you must grasp the idea that you're going to teach yourself. You will be the one that motivates yourself. You're going to be the one that goes home and reads those books, and you're going to be the one that learns new things and brings even disciplines and awareness from outside of our field to your field. I'm constantly encouraging folks, part of our brigade, part of our team, part of our dining room team, to read books, and not just culinary books or service books, but books of literature. Because we live in a really interesting time. We live in an extraordinary time where it's not enough just to merely matriculate through a culinary arts program, maybe get involved with a good chef or a good organization and grow from there. One has to be able to find a way to elevate it for themselves. One has to be able to, as I say, learn how to educate themselves. And that means understanding ideas. That means being being able to provide critical analysis to what you do every single day, how you motivate yourself, how you push yourself forward. It's interesting during the interview process when I ask a question, why should I hire you? And someone says to me, well, chef, you should hire me because I think I can learn a lot. And I say, well, that's fantastic. Well, then why don't you start tomorrow, and since you're going to be learning so much, rather than a paycheck every 2 weeks, I'll give you a tuition bill every 2 weeks. No, chef, you don't understand. No, it's not just that. I think I can also contribute a lot. Well, how so? Well, I can contribute a lot because I'm very creative, and I have a lot of ideas, and I really think I can express them here, and then I have to crush the individual even further and inform them that their creativity will not be needed here. I will handle that, thank you. You will do what I tell you to do and like it. So why else should I hire you? Well, chef, I guess you should hire me because I'm a really hard worker, and I think I can make a difference, and I'm a team player, and I'm humble, and that's all I want to hear. When I do hire people, and as I've done over these 20 plus years, it's not about the resume. People call, and who can I send my resume to? And resume, I mean, who cares about that? That's great. I know it documents that you've had this experience and you've gone to this school and you've worked here and there and you've got some stability in your background. Send your resume, but that's not most important to me. Send me a 2-page essay on why, if you couldn't be in the world of food and wine, the world of hospitality, the world of service, that you would basically have to jump off the side of a cliff. I mean, you have to be that devoted to it. And then that's what we get. We get this essay and someone explains what they want to do. We have a really interesting program at the restaurant, and it's called the Excellence Program. 3 nights a week for the past 9 years, we've hosted Chicago high school students, juniors and seniors in high school. 20 students, 2 or 3 teacher chaperones. They come every Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. This is 50 weeks of the year. And in the beginning, we would call a school, we'd like to invite some of your students to experience excellence and what we refer to as the Excellence Program. Oftentimes the schools would say back to us, well, thank you so much, that's really nice of you. Unfortunately, we don't have a culinary arts program at our school, but thank you for thinking of us. And our response was, that's beside the point. It's not even about the culinary arts. It's about bringing people into a world where we have 70 people that are so proud of what they do. We want to share with you what it is that we do. And we want you to walk away, every one of your students, with several ideas. Well, now this thing has gone on, and all manner of young people come. Honor roll students, problem students, the state champion wrestling team, the chess team, the French class, all these different schools. About 20% actually send young men and women that are interested in the culinary arts or in the service world. What happens along the way, though, the school bus pulls up at 5 in the afternoon. Beautiful young men and women come tumbling off the bus, get into the restaurant, have a little historic overview, have a small tour of the dining rooms, the wine cellars, sit at one big table in our studio kitchen area, and for the next two and a half hours, they have an 8, 9, 10-course meal, approximately the kind of meal that's being served in the dining room that night, sea urchin and lamb's tongue and preserved codfish with cockle vinaigrette, whatever's on the menu, that's what they're having. And they hear from a dozen of our staff members, a fish cook, pastry chef, food runner, sommelier, dining room leader, myself, whoever's free to talk. And our people come out, briefly describe the dish, talk about what they do on a daily basis to pursue excellence, and how they motivate themselves, and then they field 2, 3, 4 questions. We go around the table as many times as we need to until every young person asks a couple of questions. The point of this exercise is, yeah, it's great to do something nice for the community. It's great to affect some good. It's great to take some young people and maybe heave a few lightning bolts toward their direction. But it's also self-serving from my standpoint, because my own team ends up talking about excellence every single day. They have a chance to get out there in front of people and describe what they do. I work in the pastry department. I start at 7 in the morning. I have a natural starter. I get a dough out. I work it. I make 3 types of bread before anybody even walk in the door. This is a really good thing, because the first time someone gets in front of a group of people and talks about excellence, when they're 23 years old, 27 years old, and they've never been asked to do this before, they say, well, excellence for me is working really hard every day and just trying to get better. Now, we all know that that's really not much of a definition. Anybody could sort of say that. But when they do this once a week, twice a week sometimes, and 6 months later, Chef so-and-so, please describe the dish and then tell us what you do every day to pursue excellence and how you motivate yourself and how you try to go to the next level. And then they go on for 3 or 4 minutes and they give a well-thought-out mini dissertation on what excellence is, about going to the next level, about self-motivation. And the whole point, though, is when you get people to talk about things, when you get people to talk about the idea of there's no such thing as the word no, and you get what you give in life, and it's all about excellence. These may seem like cliched statements, but they're not at all. And you get this in your head, and you begin to think about it and talk about it. I remember when I first started in this field, and having no idea I would ever go further on. It was just a job for me. I was 16 years old. I was a busboy at a restaurant called the Ground Round. And you may remember this place. It was kind of a hot situation in the 70s, and I think they had a bunch of them around the Midwest. And I was so happy to get there because my friend got a job, and he told me, yeah, well, at the end of the shift, first of all, you can drink all the Cokes you want during the shift, and you can always have a hamburger at the end and a Claire or whatever you want. And I thought, this is a great job. I can't believe it. Well, I get there, and one of their little gimmicks was to give peanuts to everyone, and then you would throw the peanut shells on the floor. And I thought that was kind of revolting because people would kind of chew them and spit them out, and it just didn't seem like a good idea. And so I was always trying to sweep up the peanut shells, and the manager would always run over, and that was a manager, that was not a leader, by the way, would come running over and say, what are you doing? You're wrecking the ambiance. We want this on the floor. And I'm thinking, I'm only 16, this guy's like 32, and I think I get it more than he gets it. We can't have this here. This is appalling. So I was constantly trying to clean up. But beyond that, I remember going into the kitchen and observing the so-called chefs that were running the place, even though I had no idea what constituted being a chef was. But these guys just had the worst attitude. They didn't want to be there. And they were just slinging it, putting stuff on the thing and smashing the oven door shut. And, the poor waitress would come in with the plate of food back from a table saying, well, the lady thinks that the lamb is too rare. And the chef's going, snarling at her, that's not, you tell her she should order something else. And I'm thinking, how hard is this? This could be like your mom out here. This is somebody who's come here for dinner, and you got to adjust it. You got to fix it. That's the beauty of it. And it's about how far are you willing to go? It's not just by the book. It's not just these are the hours of operation. We've had people that have come to Trotters before that, yeah, we sort of have hours, dinner from 6 o'clock, but there's no closing time. We've had people before call and say, well, we're coming up from St. Louis. It's a special occasion, and our plane is delayed, and we won't get there till 11 o'clock. Is it still okay to come? Yes, of course it's okay to come. We tell them. Is it convenient? It's not convenient. The last reservation's at 9 o'clock. It's a slow February night on a weekday. And then they call later, yes, we're not arriving till 11:30. And they roll in, and they must be treated like anyone else. And you either buy into that mindset or you don't. We've had people before show up in the afternoon, ring the doorbell. Oh, we didn't make a reservation. Can you seat us for lunch? Yeah, we can. No problem. How many? 6? Okay, come with us. We sit them down. We're not even open for lunch. But they're there, and they want to eat, and they're excited. But that's the mindset you have to have, and that's the kind of thing, if you do that sort of thing, well, it might cost you a little something. Well, by the way, we never charge these people. Commerce is a dirty word, an ugly word. I love commerce, trust me. I love making money. It's one of my hobbies. But the thing is, when I make money, I get to spend money. That means I get to buy more china or buy more wine for the wine cellar or be more generous with the guests, with the clients, add extra courses that they didn't order. And when you instill ideas of generosity and ideas of pursuing excellence and ideas of going to the next level, and your team members begin to understand these things and they talk about these things, it really does begin to penetrate. So yes, of course, it's mentoring, it's bringing people along, it's nurturing, it's coaching, it's being the psychologist. As we all know these days, all of us chefs have to wear many, many hats. But our greatest success is when we can take an individual and nurture them to the point where they are self-sufficient as a leader. They can lead themselves. And to this day, it's all I work on. People sometimes say to me, oh, Chef Trotter, how do you motivate your staff? And my response is, I'm not interested in motivating my staff. That's not my job to motivate my staff. My job is to motivate me and to so motivate myself that I'm working at such a pace and such a rate that the staff may be inspired indirectly and they will motivate themselves. The only kind of motivation that matters is self-motivation. Anybody can whip somebody into a frenzy or say, go do this, or here, read this book, or I'm going to show you this today. And you do that. And those are important things. You teach directly, and you teach through a variety of means and methods. But if you can get an individual to be self-motivated, it's a whole different ballgame. If you can get an individual to understand that it's not about the hours or the shift or what. I used to work at this very important restaurant in San Francisco back in 1983. And I remember I would get to work at about 10 in the morning, and my official shift started at 4 in the afternoon. Then after a couple of weeks, 3 weeks, they came up to me, the chef and the sous chef, and said, all right, you've proved your point. We know you want to work here, and we can see we made the right decision by hiring you, but enough already. You don't have to be in here so early, and we don't pay overtime anyway, so what's the point? We'll see you at 4 o'clock. And I'm like, this is the point. The point is, I don't even work for you people. I work for me. I mean, yeah, I work for you. I'll do whatever you ask me to do. I didn't say it, but this is what I'm thinking. I work for me. I'm my own toughest boss. You may expect this of me. You may have this expectation, this wonderful restaurant, this regarded chef. My own expectations for me are like this. So I'm not even going to live up to your expectations. I got my own expectations to live up to, and they're beyond your expectations for me. So yeah, I am going to come in at 10 o'clock in the morning, and it has nothing to do with overtime pay. If I'm working at this place, it better be better the day I leave than the day I arrived. Otherwise, I have personally failed. So it's not about this. It's not about hours in the day. It's about, I'm here to learn. Yes, I'm here to contribute. I'm here to do whatever you ask me to do, and I'll do it with colors on, and I'll be excited. On the other hand, I'm going to find ways to bump it to the next level still. And it's never about the hours or the wage. All those things take care of themselves. This is one of my concerns with some of the young people when they come up, and they're concerned about a title or a position or about the wage. Only if they understand, if you're only obsessed with knowledge and how one conducts oneself and about humility, and that's how you approach things, things will come your way in ways that you can't even imagine. And that's how you proceed to the next level. That's how you excel and go beyond. I've often said that I could hire an entire brigade and not once ask anybody to cook for me. I could talk to them, an individual, for 10 minutes and find out what they're made of, what motivates them, what books they like to read, not just culinary books, but literature and other things. And then I could say, come with me to the kitchen. I need 10 minutes of your time in the kitchen. I want you to work at the pot sink for 10 minutes, and then I want you to work at the dish machine for 10 minutes. And that's all I would need to see of an individual, and I could tell you everything about them, if they have it in here or not. And one must approach every single task the exact same way. It's not like, well, I'm going to fillet the fish with special care, and I'm going to get my station set up, and I'm going to be organized, and I'm going to be on fire, and then when service starts, I'm going to make sure my food is timely, and I'm going to really plate this thing, and it's going to be beautiful, I'm going to make love to the food, and all that. That's fine, but you better have that same approach with every single thing you do. And you better sweep the same way, you better mop the same way, you better unpack produce the same way, you better break down a venison quarter the same way. Everything is the same. And once you start to place a hierarchy of importance on tasks and things that you do day to day, then you're ruined. And you fail to understand that everything is a process every single day, and it goes to the next level. The other great thing is the idea of inspiring people or encouraging people to realize that in this day and age, a culinarian has to be able to communicate in a lot of effective ways, has to be able to take a coherent set of ideas, a coherent philosophy about food, the given food of the restaurant or of the individual, and be able to articulate it very specifically, and in turn have the team be able to do that sort of thing. And this is one of the reasons we do something like host an excellence group 3 days a week. Yes, it's, again, good to do something like this for the community, and we're happy to do it, we're proud to do it, but it puts people on the spot. And there's nothing like being put on the spot. And if you find yourselves in this position in your own respective organizations to put people on the spot, young staff members, the pastry chef, have them talk about excellence, have them talk about what they do to go to the next level, have them explain how they find a way every single day to go to the next level. And if you don't improve a little bit every day, somehow, it's time to move on to another line of work, another field, because there's always something to do, and never ever lose the nervousness, the nervous butterflies, the thing that keeps you going. It's tricky because it's easy to monitor your your growth and your progress in this field when you begin the first 5 or 10 or 15 years, because you can see big leaps and bounds. Yes, I understand charcuterie, I understand pastry, I understand this, I understand how to talk to the front of the house team and explain things. I'm learning, I'm gaining more and more. But as time goes on, your growth becomes more difficult to monitor because it's happening in significantly shrinking incremental measures. It's like climbing a mountain, I guess. It's easy to get yourself that first 90% of the way up a mountain. Maybe it takes 20 years to do that, but it's going to take another 20 years, and you're probably only going to get 2 or 3 more % of the way up the mountain. And you're working as hard as ever, but you don't notice these strides. And this is one of the things we have to encourage folks to understand, that it's this lifelong work, it's this extraordinary thing. Of all the great chefs that have motivated me and inspired me, probably the greatest inspiration comes from the legendary Fernand Point from La Pyramide restaurant. And I'm sure most of you have the great work, Ma Gastronomie. And it's a cookbook, and there are some great legendary and classic recipes, but more importantly than that, it's a philosophy book about how one must approach this field. And if one does not approach the world we're in, the world of gastronomy, the world of food, wine, the world of service, hospitality, with generosity, then you got to get out of the field. It's all about the G word. It's all about being generous. If you're not willing to give to somebody and give something beyond what they ever expected, and you walk by a table and over here that they wanted to order this other appetizer but they didn't, but you send it out anyway. Or you provide something extra, or they ordered a wine by the glass and they drank it too quickly, and you add some more. Yes, it costs money, but it's not about money. Money will take care of itself if you are generous. And again, your team will see that you're generous. That's what it's all about. You got to bring that to the table. I mean, the story of Monsieur Point being asked to cook for the president of France back in the early 50s, and he said, of course, you don't say no. When the president asks you to cook, you cook. They planned for weeks. They had the menu organized. They brought the entire team. They closed the restaurant for 3 or 4 days. They loaded up all the flatware, silverware in boxes. They brought the stemware. They brought all the food. They brought the wines. They got on the train. They went up to Versailles. They prepared a meal for 250 people, packed everything up again, went back to Vienna, France, and 2 months go by, and they get a note from the State Department, well, that's great. It was fantastic, but we never got the bill. And the response was, how could I possibly give you a bill? You're the president of the country, and you asked me to cook. I cook. I don't even argue. It's not even a point. It's not even a question. This is sort of the thing that we have to take with us. It's that mindset, and it has to go on at all times. Well, I will leave you with that. I also wanted to add that we have a foundation that we started 10 years ago. We've raised $1.5 million, and we give money away to young folks. But what I'd like to establish immediately is an annual $25,000 a year scholarship for the ACF that I will leave at your I will leave to your discretion to disperse as you see fit, and once a year you'll receive a check from our foundation to help young people. And we have apprentices too, and we work maybe sometimes differently with apprentices at Charlie Trotter's. We hire people oftentimes, and I mean a number of people, 5, 6, 7, 8 people, that we don't necessarily even need. And these could be folks that are a step away from homelessness. These could be high school kids that don't even know if they want to go into this field. We have one young man whose mother called me 2 months ago and said, well, young Zachary would like to go into the culinary arts, and he's going to be a senior in high school, and would it be possible for him to volunteer in your kitchen this summer a couple of days a week? And I said, well, have him call me. He wants to do it. Thank you for the phone call, but he needs to talk to me directly. A week later, I got a call from the young man. We had a meeting. I said, I'll tell you what, you're going to work this summer. It'll be an 8-hour day, 5 days a week, minimum wage. You'll get paid. And we're going to show you a lot of things. So guy starts, and first he works in the prep area, then he helps wash pots and pans, then he works in pastry, a little bit of everything. Last week we had him work in the dining room. He was in a suit, and I got a call from his mom a couple weeks ago. Zachary's exhausted. He comes home at night, he goes right to bed, he gets up the next morning, and then I bring him to work, and I'm thinking, it's only 8 hours a day. It can't be that bad. I'm like an old guy, and I'm still working like 18 hours a day. What's the story? But the point is, this guy's really seeing a lot of things, and we're just trying to showcase things. But the great thing is, my team gets engaged. They get involved. They get to be part of the process of showing somebody something. And you're going to have them this week. You're going to show him something. And so it's not just beneficial for the young man. It's beneficial for staff members that are involved. By the same token, I have my 17-year-old son spending the summer at El Bulli restaurant in Rosas, Spain. And I think the kid is never going to speak to me again. He has no interest in the culinary arts, which is fine. I don't care. I told him, even if you're not my son, I still love you. But I wanted him to experience a different culture and a different part of the world. And he's working 16, 17 hours a day, 6 days a week. He's like a broken man at this point, which is good. He's like I wanted to break him down a little bit. But he's seeing a whole different thing, and it's a great experience. And that's sometimes important when you have young people, if you can just show them the way, and maybe they even drift away from this field for a bit, and then they come back and the ideas begin to strike them. The final words I have involve the idea of service. And as much as I am a culinarian, and as much as I'm a cook and I'm a chef, and I'm in whites most of my day, I still think that service is more important than food. Even though I obsess about food, it's my main concern in life. Service is so important, and all of us that work in our whites, we have to understand the job of the dining room team is equally as hard. Yes, maybe they come in several hours later than we do. They might leave a little earlier than we do. It might not seem like they're doing what we do, but that job is very difficult. They're out there in the trenches. They are face-to-face with the client. That's not easy work. And I think when a culinarian really embraces the idea that the service is as important, and then if a service member ever needs anything from you at any time, you deliver it, because it just makes what we do behind the scenes look even better. And again, that job is not easy. And I always think of what would I want my own parents to experience if they went to a restaurant, whether it's a fancy, fine dining, 4-star restaurant or a simple neighborhood thing. How would I want them treated? And so we try to instill that ethic. Anyway, I look forward to welcoming all of you to Charlie Trotter's in Chicago the next time you're in town. Thank you so much.